And thank you for coming down.
Yeah,
Really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you
Okay,
for
here we
having
go.
me. Yeah, I was going to address, because everybody's like, what's up with the dual logo thing? So Fidelity owns a bunch of title companies all over the country. Vancouver is one of like 4 or 5 markets in the country that have like a joint thing going on. So we operate as one up there, which is way different than we do down here. So that's why there's that dual logo thing. And clearly I put a ton of time into my slides. I've done this. Bill said this was my first time doing this. This is not this class.
For us.
For free. Yeah. I used to. I'm a perfectionist in that sense. So like my slides had to be perfect and the fonts had to be. And I was like, I'm taking way too much time doing that. So I just started doing handwriting. And so luckily it's digitized, so it takes my crappy handwriting and like makes it readable. So hopefully, if there's something you can't read, let me know. I can share the slides afterwards. Everybody always asks that. And then I bought this cool laser thing because I like to point at stuff on the screen, but I realized pretty quickly that you can't see the green on the TVs anymore for some reason. And so I'm like, that sucks.
Okay.
The red ones I can't see because I'm like partially colorblind. And then the eye thing, I'm going to address that. I woke up this morning and my eye was swollen shut. And I'm like,
Great.
awesome. So you see me walking around with a can of Coke on my eye. That's why I'm trying to get it back to normal. But nobody punched me. Where'd he go? He thought somebody punched me or whatever. But so those are the disclaimers. The premise that I want you guys to get out of this class today, I'm going to show you a bunch of Facebook ads, obviously. They're 24 or 25 now, I think, that everybody should be running in various capacities. And I'm going to go through a bunch of examples that I've done myself or that in my travels when working with the company, I get to go talk to all of our top clients and see what they're doing and kind of take it back and share it. The cool thing about that is you guys get to benefit from it. Just skip it. I always ask this question. If you could spend $4,000 to make $98,000, would you?
Yes.
Like if anybody says no, you should probably just leave. So there was a Facebook ad I stumbled upon a couple years ago that I'll go over in detail. I personally ran it and spent about $4,000 and I closed 14 transactions from it. And that's going to make a lot more sense in the next few minutes when I go over my background. So my background, I've been in this industry like 20-something years doing digital marketing and consulting in the marketing and tech space. I've worked for a bunch of the different title companies over the years. When COVID hit and I couldn't travel anymore and do all the fun stuff that I was doing, meeting with our clients, I was like, what if I reactivated my real estate license and went and put my money where my mouth is and figured out how many transactions I could do in about a year. So I knew I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to sell real estate forever. I don't like people. So I was like, what if for the next 12 months or so, I could just go put my money where my mouth is and use Facebook and YouTube and some of the stuff that I'm out teaching and just see what happens. Like if there was ever a time to do it, I've got the money and the time during COVID. So the thing where I'm running Facebook ads and making the 98,000 of 14 transactions, it was an ad that I stumbled across that I did for myself, and it went crazy. I'll get to that eventually. So a picture of me with some of my marketing crap that I was doing, and then I'm not going to go over all of my details. I've been around for a while. I've got 2 dogs, and I like whiskey.
Okay.
So payment in whiskey is fine. Let's get going. So one of the things that I get, first I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm judging the age right now. There's no youngsters in here. No offense, because I'm not one of them either. But I'm talking like when I talk to people that are like in their 20s, they're like, what are you talking about? Facebook sucks. Facebook is, that sounded way worse than I meant it, by the way. I meant like really young, like 20-somethings. They give me crap. They're like, Facebook sucks. That's where all the old people are. And I'm like, no, well, maybe, but old people are a little more established, and they're the ones that are buying houses because right now the youngsters can't afford to buy a house. So Facebook's still number 1, despite what some people think. This was just done as of, it's a Statista, and I did that. It's been like 6 months now, but nothing had really changed. The numbers changed a little bit, but that graph stayed damn near identical. So you see Facebook at the top, then YouTube, Instagram. For those that don't know, Facebook and Instagram, what I'm talking about today, Facebook owns Instagram. So when I say Facebook ads, I really should be saying Meta because if you build something in Facebook, it ports it over to Instagram. So your ads are in both places. And then all the other ones that kind of don't really matter to me and to any clients. There's TikTok on there. That was a big thing. But you can see it's about half of Facebook still. So stats don't lie. Daily active users still on an upward trend. And then you can see the female-male breakdown. And I'm not going to go into all of this other than that's what I was saying. It's not just old people. There's still some younger people on there. You can see the age ranges. 25 to 34, it's the biggest category, right? So when you're 20, maybe that's what they consider old people these days. I don't know, but there's a lot of the rest of us out there still. So Facebook is where I would put my marketing dollars, and YouTube is where I would put my marketing time if I had to do all of this for myself right now. That make sense? Okay. And as I'm saying all of this, if something doesn't make sense, like throw a chip at me, raise your hand if you want. It's a little more polite maybe. So, I won't go into the geeky part, but if you set up an ad correctly, and this is the same for an ad or just your organic engagement, if you do things correctly, and when I say correctly, I'm going to be talking about the algorithm for a second, you get engagement, and that engagement brings down your cost. It brings the engagement back up because it'll show it to more people. So the better engagement you get, it's just better all around. When I talk about these ads, and there's going to be a few that I talk about it very specifically, you get better engagement when you keep people on Facebook, and they like that because they want to sell more ads. And so when I run an ad and I drop people over to my website so that they can go search for a home, Facebook doesn't like that because we're taking them off of Facebook. So if I create a lead ad form and I capture them while I'm on Facebook, and then eventually I can get them over here, it's way better, it costs less, and the engagement is higher. So we'll get all of that geeky details out of the way. Just a quote that I came across a long time ago: advertising is the tax you pay for having unremarkable marketing. It's always a mouthful, but I like to say what happens if we make our marketing remarkable. So what I mean by that is, like, the society we live in right now, if you think about what we probably all do with our phones, we're just constantly scrolling. When we get bored, when we're waiting in line for something, what do? We check our phones, check your emails, whatever. If you're like me, I wake up in the morning and I'm scrolling through things. I go to bed like that. Like, that's not good. We should, like, ideally shouldn't be doing that, but that's the world we live in. So my goal is to create content that stops that, using images, headlines, copy, and then a call to action at the end. A lot of people miss that part too. They're like, I made this killer ad and I'm not getting anything from it. And I'm like, I'll look at it. I'm like, well, you're not telling people what to do. People are dumb. And at the end of the day, we have to tell them exactly what we want them to do in our marketing, if that makes sense. I'm not usually this sarcastic, but I'm a little spicy today because I think the eye thing maybe, I don't know. So here's how we view ads. And this goes back to, can you see, by the way? I'm just like standing in front of you. Okay. I worked for a company that it's called 1000 Watt Consulting, and they do branding and marketing for all of the big real estate brands. And so over the years, I've stayed friends with those guys, and we share stuff back and forth. But one of the coolest things we ever did was an eye tracking study, and we were actually doing it for the Remax, the full Remax website that we redesigned. Shoot, that was like 2009-ish, I think we did. But I ran some Facebook ads through this campaign, because what this thing does is it's this cool thing that sits on your monitor, and it just tracks what your eyes are doing as you look at stuff. And you can rent those machines. Back in the day, we rented them. And then we had like 50 people come and just go sit there, and we gave them a task to do and then watch what their eyes did. And we were trying to figure out what they did on this website. When I did the Facebook ad stuff, which was pretty early on, this is what we found. So first we see the image, and think about as you're scrolling, and when I'm going to give you all this psychology stuff, like as you're doing this now, you're going to start paying attention, hopefully, because then when you're designing your marketing, it'll make sense, and you'll be like, oh, that's what that, I need to do that. Jeff said to do that. So first we see the image typically, so scroll stopping image. Then we go down, and this is opposite of what you would think. We see this, and it depends on if you put emojis or just text or whatever, but it's like we see the image, we look down, then we look back up, we read that, and then if it's something we're still interested in, we have that moment where it's like, I should click that or not. And that's where the money's made on this part of it. That's where I say, yay, we get a click, and then it captures their information, or it sends them to your website, or whatever the point of the ad is. That make sense? Because that's going to be a key thing for the rest of the presentation. And I'm going to go super fast because you said we have 45 minutes. Do we have? I was like, usually this takes like an hour and a half, but I'll talk fast. These are real ads. I kind of went through this. Real ads that got results. Several are mine. I changed the names of others to protect the innocent, so it'll look like they're all mine, but they're not. And then I've tested some of these images. Like my friend, she runs a, I call it like, it's not like a spa, but it's like a med spa, health spa type thing. So I've helped a lot of people in all of these other industries do ads for them. And the premise is the same, whether you're selling, she does like lip waxing and all that stuff. And so I actually got this image from helping her. And then I was like, it was like our best performing image, best performing ad that I had ever seen at the time. And if you think about it in the Facebook sphere, if you want to call it that, the colors that you use are important too. So everything in Facebook land is like blue, white. Now there's all the videos and all the stuff floating around. But when we did this at the time, this thing stood out so much because it was just so bright pink and in your face. So it was interesting that happened. And then I was like, I'm going to use that for a real estate ad. So kiss your ad. Ooh, that was close. I have a slide. It's not in here. That's weird. I have a slide that gives a disclaimer that says I might cuss. I left that out apparently. But I'm trying not to, but I'm trying to quit. So that's your scroll stopping image. But the text up there, for those in the back, it says, it's time to kiss your landlord goodbye. There are several new buyer incentives available, making owning a home possible for many who thought it wasn't. Join us for the next Buyers and Brews night, where we'll show you how you can potentially afford to buy a new home for the same monthly payment you're already paying your landlord. That's an ad that we've been running for years. Like we've been doing postcards and letters and Facebook ads, everything with that kind of a message. Interest-based targeting copy, you'll hear me say that. So Buyers and Brews, first-time buyers. In Facebook land, we used to be able to do some really cool targeting with all of the demographics and all the stuff behind the scenes. And then they got in trouble for all sorts of stuff, actually. And they basically said, you can't do that anymore. We used to be able to go down to a 1 mile radius. We could target down to a 1 mile radius around a open house or whatever. Now, 15 mile radius. And if you think about that, that's from basically Lake Oswego to Vancouver. So if I'm trying to target a certain neighborhood, like out here somewhere, that gets really hard. And you have to use your copy to do it, or your image, depending on the point of the ad. So when I say interest-based copy, interest-based targeting, anything like that, I'm talking about getting it to where somebody reads it and goes, ooh, that's me. I'm going to click on it. What the algorithm does behind the scenes is as more people do that, and then all of the people that don't, it's smart enough to go, I'm going to show this ad to more people like these guys. So behind the scenes of the algorithm, there's like 115 data points that they use for all of the stuff that they feed us in our feed and in the ads and all of that. If you think about it like you have a Nest thermostat at home, it's connected to Google. Google keeps track of when you come and go and what temperature you like to have your house at. Like they track everything on us these days. Our phones are just giant tracking devices. It's listening to us all the time. They say it isn't, but it is. Because a funny story, I'm going to go off the rails in a minute. I'm out in the middle of, I don't even remember the area, but it's like out to La Grande and then south about an hour, and there's nothing out there, out on a friend's ranch. And you know what a salt blaster is?
No.
It's a gun that shoots salt.
Okay.
And you use it typically to shoot bugs, and it's just kind of fun.
Okay.
And he had one. And we were sitting there, I was drinking my Coke. Thanks, Bill. And these damn yellow jackets kept coming and getting in my Coke, and I almost swallowed one. So my buddy pulls out the salt blaster, and we start blasting these yellow jackets. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I need one of those. And I pick up my phone, and an Amazon ad pops up in my feed for a salt blaster. And I'm like, don't tell me you're not listening to that shit, because that just happened. So it's cool. I like it because I'd rather get ads for stuff that I want to see instead of a bunch of random stuff, right? That's just me, maybe, I don't know. So you'll see this often in the interest-based targeting copy when I want to get somebody to read it and say, ooh, that's me, whatever we're trying to get them to do. And I'm just going to go through all these, like I said, pretty fast. So interest-based targeting, this one's funny to me. I don't like Shih Tzus. I think they're horrible. I'm sorry. Sorry if anybody has. I have a Frenchie and a Dachshund, so I'm a little dog guy. But Shih Tzus, But think about it. If you're a Shih Tzu owner, you're going to be like, huh, it's a cute Shih Tzu. Dogs and ice cream, those are like the top 2 performing things on, depending on the time of year. So if you're a Shih Tzu owner, you stop because you see the dog you like. If I'm a Frenchie owner, I scroll, I see Frenchie stuff because that's the algorithm doing its thing, right? So again, interest-based targeting. I use a picture of a Shih Tzu. I'll sell your home quickly and for top dollar, I Shih Tzu not. It's kind of funny. Gets people to chuckle. We want that. And then the copy up above, make no bones about it. I'll get your home sold fast and for top dollar. Again, see my new unique strategy in action here. bit.ly.com, top dollar, no bones. So 2 things are going on in that. Facebook tracks everything. So like when we're running ads, I can get behind the scenes and see all the analytics. But I use a bit.ly link because I like to verify their analytics versus mine. And I geek out on this stuff, obviously. And a lot of times those don't match. And I want to always know why. And I want to make sure if it's way off, I'll stop running that ad because something's wrong. Bit.ly doesn't really lie. They don't have a reason to. Facebook does because they want to sell us more clicks. So if I see ads that aren't at least pretty close, I'll kill it. And then I'll create a new one and see what happens. And a lot of the times it'll fix itself. So that's why I do that. Plus it's just kind of funny and people get to chuckle again, right? And I want them to chuckle so that they share it with their friends. Creates very shareable content. And when they chuckle or they comment or they like, it gets the engagement, which drops my price down and gets it to see, like, gets it in front of more people, right? So ideally, Shih Tzu owners. Pause what you're doing and read this. Just kind of funny, whatever, potentially viral. When I say viral, I'm not talking about millions and millions of people like the viral that we think. If I can get somebody to run an ad like this and they get 10, 15 shares, to me that's viral for our industry. That's going to make a really bad joke right there. Several other industries, viral, we're talking millions of people. I'm just happy if 10 people share it to their network because that gets a couple thousand people to see it that probably wouldn't have before. So that's cool to me. This was a buddy in Bend. I've got a crazy glare, but hopefully you guys don't. So in Bend or anywhere that has a ton of snow like this, it sucks to sell your house in the middle of winter because your pictures all look like that. And it's like, well, that house is kind of cool. There's a ton of snow there. So we were working with what we were given. We did a little funny overlay, kind of just showed the weather, 18 degrees Fahrenheit. But more importantly, snow shovel for sale for $589,000. And bonus, it includes this beautiful home. So again, just kind of funny, gets them to stop, chuckle a little bit. The thing that we messed with here was we did 2 of the exact same ads, and we ran this text down here. This is where the pointer is supposed to work, but it doesn't. View 32 more photos here. What I wanted to test was photos versus videos. So we said view 32 more photos here or view full video walkthrough here. And this one won by quite a margin, which was surprising to me because all the marketing gurus are constantly telling us video, video, video. Video, video, video is what I'm going to tell you to do on YouTube to go answer people's questions. But for stuff like this, people don't seem to care. They just want pictures. Video might be a bonus to them. But that ad just crushed the other one, and everything was identical. Same target, same budget, same everything. What was that?
I said that is interesting.
Oh, yeah. It's, and especially for you guys as builders, like it's the data behind all this stuff is crazy. So gets people to go, what? Like, that's crazy. A snow shovel for sale? Whatever. Great call to action. And then I used the overlays, kind of touched on all that. So this one was funny. It was one that we did Arizona. Clearly, we don't have many houses out here that have pools like this. And it looks pretty vanilla, right? Like it's the ad copy kind of sucks. I'm a copywriter. Clearly, it wasn't my own. And then the picture is just kind of like, it's like a giant pool and a house-ish. But the crazy part is, and we did view all photos and schedule a tour as the call to action there. This thing got pretty crazy results. So people still like vanilla stuff. So we ran this ad for 34 days. We spent $640 roughly doing it. Got 198 leads. Cost per lead, $3.23. That $3.23 you can't really beat. I've tried. I've tried a lot. If I can get it down in that general range, I'm super stoked. Usually, like all the stuff that I did on the one ad I'll show you later, $5, $8, $10, depending on, it fluctuates a little bit, but best we got was that for 198 leads for $640. And of course, those leads all go into a CRM. The magic and all of this stuff I'm showing you today is in the follow-up.
When you said leads, are you saying like, are they just clicking just to, and then you retrieve the information, or are they clicking more that they're interested in getting more info?
So on this one, when they click learn more, it actually popped them up to the agent's website. And then in order to see the full information on the home, it's a typical like real estate IDX lead capture. So to see the information on the home, they have to register on the website. It's a good question though. Because typically if I say leads, I'm either doing a lead capture form on Facebook or I'm dropping them over to somebody's website that has lead capture on it. I've seen ads like, and people still like doing this. I don't know why, but I mean, I know why. They want to feel good about their marketing and they don't want to capture leads and drip on them and all that stuff. That's how we make money. I hate to say it. It's just the way it is. So if people are dropping their ads over to their website and there's nothing to capture that lead, they're just hoping like, oh, the right person will come along and think this house is amazing and they'll contact me. And that might happen. But the other thousands of people that go there that are interested, that don't like that house really, but want to see more, that would fill out the form on your website, like you're wasting all of that and you're wasting a ton of money. So I just think it's kind of dumb.
So which is better, my website or captured on Facebook? Which?
For the goal of capturing leads, there's two things. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're sending people to your website, Facebook is going to kind of penalize you for that. So they're not going to show it to as many people and it's going to cost you a little more because you're sending eyeballs away. And all the platforms are kind of like that. It doesn't mean you're not going to get leads and everything else, like you probably will. If it's a good ad and your website's good and it can capture people, you'll get leads. But if you can put the lead ad, which is just a form that pops up, like if you click learn more, it'll pop up a little form. The cool thing about it is because it's in Facebook and you've got all your information in there, it will have your name, your email address, and sometimes your phone number already populated. And you just have to click yeah to whatever it says, which is typically like, oh, do you want to view this home? And they'll click yes. It'll pop up a thing saying, thank you, here's a link. Then I send them away. But then I've already captured the lead in Facebook. So they give me the benefit of lower price, better interaction because I tricked Facebook into thinking like, oh, he's keeping them here. But then on the little thank you page, I give them the link that they're after to send them to my website anyways. So I'm getting best of both worlds, but I'm kind of screwing around with Facebook's own algorithm and kind of duping them into giving me the best of both worlds.
Where does that lead live in Facebook?
Really good question. It changes a lot. It's a pain in the ass to find, but somewhere in there is an Excel file. If you have like any of the good CRMs, they talk to each other and it'll port it out to your CRM like instantly. If you don't and you just want to do it the old-fashioned manual way, like the last time I looked, it took me about 10 minutes to go in there and find it, and there's a little click link to see your leads kind of thing, and then it gives you a Excel spreadsheet. But yeah, it's easier. Like Follow Up Boss, KV Core, like all the big CRMs that we all use, they all have the API that talks to Facebook that you can connect. So when a lead comes in, it just sends it to your CRM. And then that's where the real magic happens, because if you do it, I won't say properly, because my opinion is properly, I want some sort of follow-up campaign that immediately happens. So the one ad I'll show you later, they've got an email and a text message immediately, and then a series of emails. And that's where the actual follow-up magic happens, where we make the money. Because getting an ad, getting a lead, if you don't follow up, nothing happens, right? So get it to a CRM and then set up some campaign after that. This was just kind of another A/B test. Who do you think wins? I'll say who. Which do you think would win? And for those of you in the back, the text is basically the same. The image is different, and then the call to action at the bottom is similar but a little different. Sold in 7 days for 6%, and this was in the heyday of 2020-ish. So sold for 7 days and 6% above asking. We might get back to that soon, I hope. Sold in 1 day for 3% above asking. Similar, but which one do you think performed better? Which one do you think won? Why?
Because it's Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought, but they both won. They both did almost identical stats. The text creates curiosity. You've got general targeting. Anybody who likes Anchorman, so I was able to go back and do the targeting there. There's a name for this. As I was doing all this research back in the day, it's called inverse unicorn. It's like taking a funnel and turning it upside down, but you're taking like two interests and merging them together so that you can target people a little more precisely. And if you use, my thought was if you use an image like that and you targeted people that liked Ron Burgundy and liked Will Will Ferrell, and real estate, you would kind of get that going on. And then I put it against this one because this is a typical like just sold ad. They performed pretty much the same. I don't know, maybe not as many people as I thought liked him, so who knows? Will Ferrell fans, yeah. So another one, tips to increase the value of your home. It's funny, my team's still in operation, obviously. I don't run it, I'm just licensed there and I do some marketing. I use it as a brainstorming mostly. But he was telling me, the principal broker was telling me that Sierra Interactive, our website provider, won't do these ads anymore without a 50-mile radius because the volume of people that are doing, like clicking these is just not there anymore. So there's not many people these days trying to figure out how and what to do to increase the value of their home or what their home is worth. And I'm like, that's interesting because that's the first time in many years that I've heard, and I would love to actually test that theory if I had time. But this was just tips to increase the value of your home. I'm trying to get seller leads, obviously. Anybody who's interested in increasing the value of their home, they're probably thinking about selling it, right? So if I can capture that, that'd be great. Location-based targeting. So that 1 mile radius is now 15. How do I get around that if I'm just trying to sell to Vancouver or Tigard or Sherwood or whatever? I can't, right? That radius is so big. I don't want to waste a bunch of money on a bunch of people clicking that aren't in that area. So very first line, you'll see a lot of these ads that I do. This one's Vancouver homeowners. I live in Northeast Portland. I'm probably going to see that ad due to the radius part. But if I see it, it says Vancouver homeowners, the likelihood I'm going to click on it, pretty low. If I don't click on it, but the Vancouver people are, Facebook's automatically going to whittle it down and show it to the Vancouver people and less of everybody else. And so that's the goal there. Within that first sentence is to get that going on. So location-based targeting is super important these days. It implies simplicity. So anytime I do anything, I want people to think, oh, it's going to be easy to work with you. It's going to be easy to work with you. So the copy says, want 7 simple tips to increase the value of your home. Creates curiosity because they're like, what are those 7 tips? First of all, oh, it's 7 simple tips. That's even better. Get our list of quick and easy tips here. Again, subconscious, nailing that down. Bitly.com, 7 tips. Told you why I use the Bitly links. I've compiled this list of 7 simple things many of our past clients have done to help raise the value of their home before selling. I use the short URL to track, and then I build in social proof when I say many of our past clients. If I'm a brand new agent, I can't say that probably, right? Or you can, but you're lying. Or you can leverage the power of your team. If you're on a team, you could say many of our past clients instead of my past clients. So many of our past clients have done this. That subconsciously gets a person to be like, oh, they've done this before. They're not new. They know what they're doing. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Everybody's still good?
Yeah.
All right. I had a condo in the Pearl that I couldn't sell for the life of me. So I wanted to build a list of people that were looking for stuff in the Pearl so I could market that thing a little more exclusively to them. So I built this ad. People are always like, there's nothing in the Pearl for $175,000. There actually was. There were quite a few at that time. There's probably more now. So everybody loves feeling like they're getting a deal. So in my visual text, I said best deals on Pearl District condos, looking for a deal on a condo in the call to action down below. Download the list of the lowest price condos for sale in the Pearl District. Condos starting at $175. Kind of like what I was just talking about earlier with you. When they clicked on that download, what do you expect to happen when you click download? Like some file is going to pop up and download on your computer, right? Well, that's not an option, but the little pop-up thing comes up and it says name, phone number, email address. Click here to download the link. When you click on it, it pops up the thing saying, here's your link. They click on that, takes them to my website. The search is already out. All of those properties are there. My CRM pops them into that search, so every day they get that updated. So that's kind of how that one worked. And then I was able to build a list of several hundred people that were looking for condo deals, and then I could send them my condo and say, hey, this is not the greatest deal, but it's a super cool place.
How does the new broker buyer agreement come into play when you do things like that?
That's a very gray area question. My short answer would be on that page where the link is, you could put little text saying like, I mean, it's no different than just showing somebody your website. So that it'll come into play later, but I wouldn't worry about it at that point. Going from an ad to your website, you could mention something in there, like if you click through and want to see more information, I'm going to have to show you these resources, something like that. But I just wouldn't worry about it.
My understanding is if you're gonna send them anything, then they have to have a buyer broker agreement.
Really?
I was like,
Open the door, not for emails.
No, even for virtually, if you show them right now, it has to be by a broker agreement.
so if you have
Just be revised it right now.
any sort of compliant website, that should be on them, I would think. But I don't know. I've actually never heard that, so I'll have to check.
Virtually means you being in the house and showing them, or they clicking a
Any-
link.
If you
on
send them
it?
any listing,
Listing,
any
anything.
listing period, whether it be KB Core or Armlast or anything, you have to have a signed buyer agreement.
That doesn't make any sense because if I go to Zillow or any website
That's
ever,
them searching, but if you,
They're-
me
they're-
as
As an
they-
agent sending it,
Yeah.
that means you have to have a broker
Yeah.
agreement before anything. That's
It's
So-
coming from my
Before anything.
website.
yeah.
So I have to have a buyer broker agreement with you, even though you clicked on it. I have to have a signed agreement to be able to send you my listing.
So if I go to Google and I type in homes for sale in Tigard, I find your website, I click register, I'm not signing a damn thing. Nobody's signing anything. So that's a,
where I think the problem is.
yeah, if that's the case and that's how they've worded that, that's never going to work. I don't say never, but in that case, probably never going to work. Because that's just like, I mean, you would have to turn off all of your marketing, all of your email marketing, and get somebody to sign something to see listings. As a consumer, I'm probably never going to do that. And that would be bad for you guys to do because then you're just turning everything off. But I've never heard that. So if it's the case, I would hope they figure that out soon. And I don't think anybody's doing it because none of my people are. So let's see. I always use a familiar image. So if you're looking for condos in the Pearl, you'll recognize that park. And then I use a lead ad, like I was mentioning for you guys. So lead ad versus sending it to an IDX page. This is the infamous single story ad that I talk a lot about. So I'll just pop all these stats up here really fast. 134,000 people reached, 389,000 impressions. So that means 389,000 people, or 134,000 people saw it. 389,000 means multiple people saw it multiple times. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. 12,000 clicks, and this was over about a year period, by the way. I figured it out pretty early. 355 leads. That was on the original one, and then I switched it over to the lead ad. So I was just dropping people directly to the website, making them fill out the registration on the website. When I clicked over to the lead ad, where does it say? The $13.60 CPL dropped down to like $5. And that's where I was like, oh, that's crazy. Why is that? Well, because I'm not sending them off of Facebook. And then I tested that a bunch and I'm like, huh, that's the case. So use that lead ad form, it keeps that cost way down. Still $13 for a lead that's very specific to a type of property. And you can see the ad, it wasn't anything great. Looking to buy a single story home, I've compiled a list of every one story home for sale in Portland. Click through to get it. Click download, goes through that process again. In this case, it went download to my website where they all were, said register, and we'll send this to you every day. So if that's a problem, that would be a thing. But
So on your website, you just made a search and just lived there
Yep.
as a page?
Yep. And the funny story behind this, so this came from a listing in my neighborhood. I was sending postcards, doing a Facebook ad, and some YouTube stuff. And one of my ads, it wasn't the single story ad, it was a hey Roseway neighbors. So I'm targeting my little Roseway neighborhood. And the call to action was Messenger. I was testing if people would actually use Facebook Messenger to reach out to me versus sending them to my website or whatever. The answer is yes, they do sometimes. This lady was like, hey, I got your postcard a couple months ago. It's stuck to my fridge. I've been meaning to call you. Sorry, I haven't. And we're chatting. We're literally chatting one day. And she's talking about buying a home, selling their home, buying somewhere else. So I get going back and forth and eventually get the address of the property. It's not the house right across the street from me, but it's the house behind it. And so I was like, hey, if you don't mind, I'm in flip-flops and shorts. I'll just walk around and we can just have this face-to-face conversation. And so I walk over there, and she's like, yeah, we have this 3-story home. It's a basement, 2 stories, and they are 75-ish, and they want to sell because they don't like the multiple stories. They want to move to a single-story home. And she goes, wouldn't it be great? She goes, wouldn't it be great if there was this place I could go to search for single-story website or single-story homes? And I was like, well, yeah, like every real estate site ever, you can do that. But it made me think, and I'm like, I wonder if I ran an ad and just set up a search, if that would be easier. It was. Clearly it worked. So that, like I said, was over a 12-month window. I think it was actually like 13 months total that I ran it. That ad is still running today. I sent my principal broker a message this morning saying, can you give me the last year's worth of stats for this thing? What's going on, man? So I sent him a message this morning, and he sent me the stats for the last 12 months. Now, this is super interesting to me. They spent $1,700. They got 1 closing from it because he doesn't have anybody doing follow-up. I'm not there anymore, and I'm not doing the follow-up stuff. So he's got a couple agents. His sister is one of them, and she does some of the follow-up sometimes. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Now, times have changed. The market's drastically different. But I'm like, God, you're missing out a lot, because they got 156 leads in the last 12 months from the same ad at $5 a pop, which is still really good. But the money is made in the follow-up. And so if nobody's following up, you get 1 transaction, not 14. Going on to the next one. So this one is funny. This was a local guy out in this area, actually, and I just changed it. I swapped a generic logo over the top so nobody would recognize it. But you don't know Alex Pham? He's a friend of mine. Like, he used to do this. I don't know if he still does, but it was just a way of saying thank you to people that he had worked with. So it's not exactly a scroll stopper, but what he was doing was uploading all the people that he had worked with and all of his clients and all of his leads into a custom list into Facebook and sending it to where this ad only showed up for them and not everybody else. I would argue we should do both and see, because I bet you if you put that out in the world, it's a lot of social proof, and people would be like, oh, this guy sold a lot of houses in June, or yeah, because this was June 2019. And it's like, it's 9 houses selling in the month of June. That's pretty good. I'd try both for a couple weeks at least, but just a good old-fashioned thank you, provide social proof. Let's see. Still got this glare. So yeah, homes for sale in Tiger. This was just another one. Implied simplicity to work with me. I used the actual image of a tiger home. I try to get that across to people. Like, a lot of people just go to Google, or if you're using a Facebook ad platform, there's one called Walled Garden that's awesome, I love. But when you're using any of these third-party platforms that people charge you for, they don't know what the houses look like in our area. So what I see a lot is somebody running an ad for Tiger Beaverton, and then there's a picture of like a brick house. If you think about it, there aren't many out there. I'm sure there's a few, but not many. And the typical person's going to look at it. What I want them to not do is look at that and go, that's weird. There's not many brick houses out here, because their mind's going to do that. And they might actually like verbalize that. But I want to make the transition in the subconscious level to where it doesn't bring up any red flags, right? Because that's an immediate, like, stop. This person doesn't know what they're talking about, or they don't know what they're doing. That's what our brain's going to tell us. So I want to use an actual picture of a home for sale in the area. Same with when I did the Pearl District. I used the park because everybody recognized it. In my area, we had the roundabout that used to have, I don't know if it's still there anymore, but the big golden statue that was, I forget what it was, but anyway, everybody that lived in that Laurelhurst area knows that big statue in that roundabout. I'm buzzing through these pretty quickly, you guys, so I'm trying to get to the end. So play on organic shares. This one was interesting. A little contest, and I have to give you a little bit of a disclaimer. Facebook hates it when you do this kind of stuff. For some reason, they don't like people trying to game the system. And I accidentally gamed the system on this one, like to the degree where I was like, oh my God, I feel like a jerk. So what we did on this was a play on organic shares to boost our ad engagement and effectiveness. So the text says, open house and contest. Come see this beautiful 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, blah, blah, blah. Contest. Share this post and comment shared below, and you'll be entered to win a $50 gift card. Drawing to be held Sunday at 3 p.m. at the open house, because it ends at 3 p.m. We hope to see you there. What I didn't realize was that once you click share and you share it, you couldn't get back to the ad to comment shared, so you didn't get entered into the drawing. And I eventually had somebody message me and say, hey, I clicked shared, because it'll show you the number of shares, but it doesn't show who shared it unless they are like a friend. Then sometimes you can go in and see it. But I was getting a bunch of shares, and then I realized, oh crap, all these people that are sharing it have no way of going and letting me know. I didn't get the comments that I wanted, which was to build some of the engagement also. The sharing part was awesome, but I was like, oh boy, I got myself in trouble there, didn't I? So I turned the ad off, but that was just one of those like oops types of things, but I learned. I like the idea over there in the far bottom corner, must be present to win. I would have put that in the copy, must be present to win, to get more actual traffic to the open house, but you guys could do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I said hi to Brian, but up in Vancouver, Taylor Morrison was against doing a lot of cool marketing stuff. So I don't know if you guys are allowed to down here, but a bunch of stuff you can do. Contests and all that crap. This guy was Spokane, and he just walks around the neighborhood talking into his camera, which, nothing wrong with that. It works. It's a quick iPhone video. It's just him walking through the neighborhood saying, hey, we have buyers. His text says, I'm a local realtor in the area, and I have a few buyers looking to move to our neighborhood, so I could use your help. Thinking of selling your home, we should talk. Again, it goes to a messenger thing, which we tested, and it worked pretty well. We also tested sending them to the website to try to capture their lead. That didn't work very well. People would send a message and say, hey, I am thinking about selling in a few months from now. I tested, there's the emoji guy. I moved the emojis over here, and I put 3 of them, and then it said, I have buyers. That one got a way better response than this one, so just doing stupid little things and testing that kind of stuff. But it creates a sense of urgency, and then it works even better with hyper-local copy and video. So if you're walking through the neighborhood and there's something like that statue or the park or whatever that people will notice, because when he's walking through, you can't really tell what neighborhood he's in. He says it in the video. Like if it was me in my neighborhood, I'd be like, hey, it's Jeff, I'm your Roseway realtor, whatever. But in that case, unless you say it, people don't see it. So if I was going to do it in my neighborhood, we used to have a really cool theater that burnt down, unfortunately. But I'd go stand in front of that and say, hey, I'm in front of the Roseway Theater, because everybody that lives around there would recognize that thing. Let's see, Buyer's Guide, Playbook. I'll buzz through this one. And then the next one, it's the Seller's Guide, same deal. These you have to be careful. Like if you use imagery that has snowflakes in it, you have to change it every once in a while. The cool thing with this copy was we created this to do a couple things, to get people to realize that even smart people make mistakes. So it says, I created this free guide to help you avoid some of the common mistakes I've seen even the smartest buyers make over the years. It saved several of my buyers thousands of dollars. You'll receive 14 pages of insider knowledge to make sure you're fully prepared to take on the largest purchase of your life. So everybody wants to feel like an insider. Change the imagery out. You can just run that thing all year long if you swap the images. Social proof was built in. I've helped other people avoid this issue, and smart, dumb, either way, you could do both. Is a great lead ad to capture the emails. This was the exact same thing. I just did it with a picture of me and then a book that I wrote, 12 pages, all 12 pages of the book. It was the best-selling free version of that book. But I would take it to my open houses and leave it on the counter, and people would take them all the time. It was pretty cool. So same principle applies for the sellers. It creates curiosity if you use a picture like that versus one of the generic ones that you can get from all the companies that do that. And then people argue about this all the time. These are the home valuation things that I was talking about. They were saying do a 50-mile radius. Part of what we do with our company, with Fidelity, is we have a relationship that's really awesome with Tom Ferry and his crew and all of the coaching that we get so that we can go help you guys with stuff. They've run tests against just using a picture of a home versus a picture of a map like that. Mm-hmm. So if you live in that area and you're scrolling through, you're like, oh, that's where I live. It makes you stop. It makes you pause. If it's just a home, maybe, maybe not. Depends on how serious you are. But they've run a bunch of tests, and they've said the map just destroys all the other ones. So use a picture of the map. Everybody argues, do these work anymore? Keep in mind, this was like 2 years ago. So she said, I'm running 3 at $9 a day. Here's the results. If I can get them, 3 times 9 times 7 days a week equals $189. CPL of $3.57. And remember what I said earlier, if I can get a CPL of $3 something, like that's pretty awesome. I'm ultra happy. She got one listing and then 52 potentials with the rest of the leads. So she got 53 leads with one listing appointment, and then 52 potential people down the road if she's doing a good job following up with the CRM stuff, future money. This one is for recruiting. It is very edgy. I will give you the disclaimer. I wouldn't do this unless you have the culture going for you. I worked at a brokerage in 2009, and we had a culture that could get away with this. And more importantly, we had an owner that didn't care that people hated us. So, the M Realty, does anybody remember M Realty from way back in the day? So I ran all the marketing stuff way back for them. Use of humor, shows culture, personality. For the people, can you guys even read that? I've been reading it to you, but can you read this? No, okay. So it says, I changed the words and I recommend you have to do the same. The average Vancouver area realtor sells 7 houses a year. Know what's better than selling 7 houses a year? How about 20 or 40 or 100? We have people doing it, and that means you can too. We'd love to show you how we're helping our agents be way better than average. If you're ready, we're ready. Call to action, how do we measure up way better than average? That's all I'm going to say about that. You have to use custom audience targeting. So we upload the list of all realtors into Facebook and say, I want to target realtors. I want to target them using this list. And that's how we did that without the general public seeing it. Then you can do like people like these, and you can do all sorts of stuff. So it's a pretty bold claim. You have to be able to back it up, tweak the numbers to match it. Brooke, everybody know Brooke? She's been around here forever. This is old, like years old. So I say get creative with this stuff where we're testing these things. So it says Realtor, not to be confused with Minotaur, Centaur, or Pat Benatar, none of whom know jack about this real estate market. There's no horsing around when it comes to selling homes and questions about the Vancouver real estate market. We've got a team of realtors standing by. When she posted that, it was originally just done as an image post on Facebook, but then it got so much traction. It was like, you need to run that as an ad. And I recommend people doing that. If you post something and it starts going crazy, set it up as an ad, because then that virility of it is going to make your ad perform so much better. 150 likes at the time. Like I said, this stats were old, but 150 likes and 8 shares in 7 days. And that was when I was like, you should set that up as an ad, because it seems like people are liking it and sharing it. And you could hit a way broader network of people. Clicker. This was an agent in Colorado. I don't even know what to say about the image, but it says why should you choose me as your real estate agent? Well, for starters, I'll fight harder for you than people fought against the wind in the 1980s. My sell is bang, let's talk. Selling your home can be a breeze with me fighting by your side. Just a funny play on the windbreaker suit thing she's wearing. She does a lot of that kind of just goofy stuff, but it always has the interaction. 256 likes and bunch since March 15th. That was last year, obviously. And then this one is kind of funny, again, with that inverted unicorn targeting. So we use him, real estate. Most people are like, how are you ever going to mash those together and make it work? Hello, is it me you're looking for? Because I wonder where you are and I wonder what you do. Are you searching for a new home and do you have one to sell too? Tell me how to win your heart, for I haven't got a clue, but let me start by saying I'm here and ready to help you. And if you're a fan of that guy, you can hear the music playing when you read that. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, that's clever. And then you probably share it with a friend or think, this person's amazing. I probably would get along with them really well. I'm going to reach out, send a message, whatever. Looking for a great realtor. Hello, it's me you're looking for. So that's how you blend stuff like that together and get good results. That's a real thing, the inverted unicorn. Like I said, never heard of it, but it's a thing. So then again, you get the higher engagement, higher relevant scores, lower cost, all of that good stuff. We're almost done, by the way. 2 more, I think. Not everybody's funny. Sometimes you can get away with stuff like this. Sometimes you can't. Top 10 things to do when selling your home. Number 1, call me. I'll handle the other 9. This was a big one when the whole NAR thing came out. I gave this to a bunch of friends, and I was like, this is just a good way to drop people onto your website on the page that you've all got that says, this is what I do for you. These are the 100 things that I, as a realtor, will do to earn your business and to charge you the amount that I charge you. Send them to your website to do that. This was another one. Housagon, it's what I do. Pentagon, hexagon, octagon, housagon. I sell homes faster than average. I sell homes higher than average, whatever the call to action could be, whatever. I always tell people you have to tweak it for what your business is. So like, if you don't actually sell homes faster than average, don't say that.
Okay.
You have to know the average, right? So it's dead simple. It's like a bad dad joke. And then you just send them to your website again. So what did we learn today? You need a pattern interrupt. That's what we call the initial like, where people are like, whoa, what's that? Facebook is smart. Let the algorithm do the work. Again, with the 15-mile radius stuff, if you, like the best example is Vancouver homeowners. You don't have to do any of the demographic stuff. You just let the algorithm figure it out. One thing I will tell you on that note is when we set up Facebook ads, the first 3 days, 4 days sometimes, is what I call the learning period. So you're going to put a budget in of like $10 a day, and during that first 4 days, the algorithm is trying to figure out what the hell to do and who to show this ad to. If we do this, where I'm not saying, like back in the day, all the Facebook gurus were like, go into Facebook and type in Zillow as an interest, and Realtor.com as an interest, and mortgage calculator as an interest. Those are all things that people have an interest in or have been on their website or whatever if they're thinking about buying or selling. And that was true back in the day, and it worked. But this works way better. I let Facebook figure it out because they have all the data, and they're way better at that crap than we are. So I leave it open. Still have the 15-mile radius because you can't get around that. And we still have the age range that we have to deal with because we can't get around that either. Let Facebook do the rest based on the image and the targeting and everything that you do in your ad. Does that make sense? Because that's pretty
Do you
big.
have to have a business page to do this, or?
Not anymore. You used to. You used to have a business page to run an ad. Now you can have, I think they call it a creator account, creator profile, whatever. And you can run ads from your personal.
And how do you do that? I mean, I don't.
Exact same way. It's like you go into the ad manager thing, and it's just you're doing it on your profile versus having to go into your business page. It's kind of complicated, and they change stuff all the time. Which
You
is
need to do a class on that one.
I used to do classes like that, but then like the next day it changes, and then I'm like, then I look like an idiot. I used to do live demos where I'd show it and like, here we're gonna walk through this, and then it's all different, and I'm like, I don't even know now.
So do you have a good resource? Like, is it just something you have to intuitively figure out, or would there be a YouTube video, or how would you recommend learning?
You can Google, you can find a bunch of videos on YouTube. Typically what I say is reach out to one of the Fidelity sales execs, and they'll get you in touch with me or somebody on our team to walk you through it or whatever we need to do. We do have partnerships with some of the better companies. Walled Garden is one of them, where they kind of, my buddy Travis runs it, and he's built this platform that just kind of does it all for you. You upload your image and the copy you want to use. Now they have all the AI stuff that'll do that too. So it depends on kind of your level of sophistication. But then you put in your budget, where you want to target, and hit go, and it does the rest. So they charge like $80 a month and then a percentage of your ad spend. So for some people that's worth it. But otherwise, if you're just running an ad here and there, usually I say we show you how to do it once or twice, and then you can do it pretty easy.
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
First is, does the verify thing like the blue check or
Yep.
whatever, does that helps for something? And the other question is, because that costs like $40 per month.
Right, yeah, right.
And the other question is, I don't know if probably you mentioned already, but if I do that in Facebook, it automatically posts in the Instagram
Yep.
page?
If you have to have an Instagram page set up, and then you connect them, and it'll do it automatically. So for your blue checkmark question, it's funny you ask that because I lost access to my Facebook page, my business page. It's literally titled Jeff Bernheisel Hillshire Realty Group. I don't know how I got booted off as the admin of that thing. So there's nobody running the page now. It's just not doing anything. It's still there, but it's annoying because I actually wanted to delete it because I'm not supposed to have like active marketing out there. But I can't get Facebook to do anything about it. You pay for that blue check mark. Part of the benefit of that, and really the only benefit besides what they tell us was like, if people see that you have a blue check mark, it makes you legit. So you know it's not a spam account that's, 100 people have set up all of a bunch of you basically, right? So there's one of you because you have to verify it and upload your documentation and all that stuff. But the second benefit was you get priority service. So I paid the $15 for like 3 months, and they strung me along telling me they're going to figure this out and how to get access back to my page. And in the end, they're like, well, we can't prove that this was your page. And I'm like, look at the, I almost cussed. Look at the damn pictures of me doing all the stuff that I do. And then look at me. Look at my personal profile, and I'll give you my driver's license, whatever. And they, in the end, they were just like, yeah, we can't help you. And so I'm like, well, I'm not paying for the stupid blue check mark anymore. So I quit doing that. So I mean, it still provides a level of like credibility, I guess.
And especially because their ads now are running with the link
Yeah.
at the bottom of the post.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, it's good. It depends. Like most people don't care. Most people don't know what the blue check mark even means. So it's kind of one of those things. Like if it's important to you, and if I was building a big brand and I wanted to make sure everything was as legit as possible, like I'd maybe do it. But good question though. Last point, that interest-based targeting can make you a ton of money and then have fun and test things. And then I guess that wasn't the last thing. The money's made in the follow-up. I mentioned that. Should we do a follow-up class? Maybe. And if you're not using Fidelity, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. And I do say, ask about private client workshops. We're going to figure that out. This is the first time we've done a joint Vancouver-Portland thing with me. So if you guys want more one-on-one help or help with anything, get in touch with your Fidelity rep and we'll figure that out. I can always zoom down here. I live in Portland, so that's not that big of a deal. But they offered this to the Seattle team the other day. I did a big Zoom call on AI, and sales manager in Vancouver was like, yeah, if you ever need Jeff to come up and meet with clients. And I'm like, well, that's a little different. That's me driving my 66 Chevy up to Seattle. I don't know.
I saw that, that's nice.
So yeah, that's a little different. But anyway, that's what I got for you guys. You guys
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
so if you guys could all please take a few minutes to fill out the evaluation.